With the seat completed, I need to lay out some cardboard templates for the back upholstery. I'll start by lining up this cardboard center of the frame, and I'll pull it to the sides and make sure it's flat against these uprights. I want to keep it as square to the world as I can right here. I'll measure these corners from the front. All right, I'll try 1 3/4 inches. Okay, that'll work. I'll measure this distance where the sagless webbing drops off around the corner, and I'll compare it to the original. Okay, 2.5 inches, that should be an accurate pattern. I'll square this off and mark my centers. I'll measure 2.5 inches up and allow for the curve. I'll fold this and book match it to the other side. I'll make a couple relief cuts right here in the curve. Pull this on around the corner. I'll finish tightening up this webbing and trim away the excess. I need to do the layout for my biscuits at 5.5. Here are the original marks. And looks like right here. And I'm going to be going 5.5 up from the bottom. I'll start the tufting by laying out a center reference. I'll start with this piece of cardboard I've cut 5.5 inches wide. I'll mark out center on the top, and half of 5.5 would be 2 3/4. I'll lay out my button placements here, and then make for the outside rows. I'll square these up and mark them on the bottom of the cardboard edge there. I'll match up these center references And this will put me at 5.5 inches from the base. Mark out my button placement. Move it up to the next row. I'll darken these up with a Sharpie marker on the back side. I used the original webbing to do a rough layout on this deck padding. I'll match up my centers and fit the deck padding in place around here. Make sure it's all straight. I'm going to put just 2 or 3 temporary shots to hold it in place for now. I'll use my pencil to mark out the button reference. When I first got started on this project, I thought I was running pretty close on fabric. As it turns out, I'm about 8 inches short, and I'll need to piece in a couple of these sections in the tufting seams. Lay out the outside back, and then I'll work around whatever's left with it. I'll lay in my template. Measure it on selvage to make sure it's even. I'll cut this and book match it to the other side. Tufting requires doing some math. Need to add 1 inch for every fold, which would be 4 inches in width. Need to add at least 2.5 inches to the outsides for pulling over, so that's an additional 5 inches to the width. The previous person cut this straight across the bottom and didn't allow for the curve to go around the corners. I need to use a square and keep my layout accurate. I'll freehand this curve at the bottom corner. Well, it's unfortunate, but I ran 7 inches short of fabric, but at least I can piece it together in the seam. All right, I got that pieced in, and it'll sew in with the pleats and never be noticed. I'll sew in each fold individually and leave a little pocket for the button. All right, now I need to add a pull strip around the bottom of this panel. I'm going to add pleats to allow the strip to expand around the frame. I'll tug out the slack in these first rows here. I'll square up on this side and set in these outside rows. I'll tuck this in and start pulling the folds into place. I'll use my regulator to set in these folds and get them straight in shape. Pull this around tight and I'll have some excess cotton to remove. Keep working with it until I get them all set in line. Also cording across the top of the outside panel. I'll start by putting on a piece of slip ease. It helps keep the cotton in place when the fabric gets pulled over. I'm going to use half layer of cotton on this. Try to split it down the middle. I'll feather this away along the cardboard strip. I'll work with this cotton and push it up over the cardboard strip. That's a wrap on this job. Well, all right. Thanks for tuning in.